Welcome guys, back to the longest night in the Norwegian summer. We are here today to do an outdoors untangling session. We're going to untangle both people and horses, and mostly we will have Hanne telling us how to untangle people, and then we will have a guest who we will introduce when she's done holding the horse to show what to do and how to do with horses to get rid of knots and pains and all sorts of little things. So it's sort of what do you say? Repairs.
Yeah.
Like simple repairs, simple mechanic repairs like you can do at home.
Maintenance of yourself and the horse.
It's the DIY maintenance for your horse and yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of my wife, Hanne, who's going to talk about this, because I am normally being untangled. I am not the untangler.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you say there, because it's when we're untangling, that's just a name that we have invented, because we don't want this to sound as it's a new kind of therapy, because we're not therapists, we're teachers, and we're teaching other people to move, and horses to move more efficiently and more fluently without tension.
And more virtuously.
Yes. And you know, sometimes when the riding teacher says to me, shoulders back, Hanne, and I in order to have my shoulders back, I need to really sit like this, and this is not very, it's not very supple.
Also, what she's going to do
and then he says, relax, Hanne. No.
Can't do both.
And then if I relax, I go like this.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes it's like your fascia is too tight. There is something.
Fascia?
It's called bindevev in Norwegian.
It's
like the structures that is around your muscles.
So it's like a muscle bag.
The muscle bags, the sort of sinewy things that you take away when you make food.
All right.
When you cut up the meat, there is like this white sticky thing that is
meat bag.
Yeah, meat bag. Those are actually all over your body, inside your body, and I'm not going to talk about that because this is for professionals. We're not going to talk about anatomy either, not much. Because that is, if we're going to learn how to like do maintenance on ourselves, we're not going to learn about muscles, learn about fascia, learn about like complex things about that. We're going to learn simple, safe methods that we can use just to teach our bodies to move more correctly and more relaxed and to
efficiently, actually.
Yeah. And you know, I'm actually an engineer. I come from cybernetics. That means how you learn how to regulate processes. So that's where I'm coming from. So I was thinking, okay, but if if I can do like control robots, I can teach bodies to move differently. And
because there's a control system.
There's a control system. It's called the nervous system.
All right.
The motor nervous system.
Yeah.
And it doesn't understand Norwegian. And it doesn't understand English either. It doesn't understand words. But it understands movement. And what I'm doing with this untangling bit is that I'm touching the muscles that are stiff while you're breathing. And when you're breathing, and the nervous system can realize that, hey, this muscle is too stiff, then something happens. The motor nervous system says, let's think a little cartoony here. I'm always referring to that part of the nervous system as the man in the brain. that doesn't understand language, but he has all these joysticks and he controls all the muscles. And we, with our consciousness, we can't, it is impossible to do like ride and sit there and think, I must relax in my psoas. I must relax in my psoas. You can't do that. We
You
haven't
can
got
do
that
just
kind
that
of
one, but
conscious
you
control.
can't reach it.
Yeah, but then what we are doing is that we are, if you know, my muscles in my neck they are really stiff, so my neck is like having this really strange vulture crook.
Goodness me.
Yeah, it's sort of a,
So this here
yeah,
means these muscles are very short.
yeah,
And or tense.
yeah, but also the muscles on this side are
In
really
front.
tense. No,
Yes.
on the side.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
they're called the scalene muscles, but yeah, if you're very interested in finding out what their name is, but these muscles and some others, but they're actually pulling the head forwards, like this. And before I was like this, and then my spine was like this, and my lumbar spine was like this. So I was like compressed together, and it was really difficult to ride, because then you were like this, because you can't straighten up. So then I sort of took a lot bits and pieces of knowledge, and together with my cybernetic knowledge, I found this method that I called untangling. And it's because the name, I use that name because when you're stiff, for instance, in my neck, I'm stiff. The muscles are too short. And you know that it's not that the muscles are too short. It's my brain that keeps the muscles too short, because my brain is convinced that they need to be short.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It could be an injury when I was little.
It could be trauma over instant
stress.
kind, or it could be trauma over periods.
Yeah.
It's impossible to tell.
So what I was doing, I was like doing the engineering trick, and I said, okay, I need to get these muscles to relax. Okay, we can stretch. Okay, and people say, oh, you can stretch. But it's impossible to stretch those muscles when all the muscles are too short, because my neck was like this. And when I did this,
You couldn't get a hold of the stiff muscles. You just made your head move where it always moved, where the muscles were actually long enough.
So then you need to go and touch one muscle at a time, and loosen it up. Make it stop being that tense. And then you need to talk to the man in the brain, talk to the nervous system, talk to the software, the robot software. Talk to it with movement, because that is the only thing that your motor nervous system understands. Movement.
And the mildest sort of movement you can do is breathing.
Yes.
All right.
And then it's important to understand that when you're doing this untangling, then I'm sort of I'm not a therapist, I'm the facilitator. I'm just pointing to the muscle, and it's the person who's lying on the bench that is doing the job. That he's breathing into my finger and feeling that touch, and then the tension will go away.
This sounds like it might be like a skill.
It's a skill. It's
for
a skill
the person
for
on
the
the
person
bench?
on the bench.
All right.
So I'm teaching that person to breathe in a different way, breathing without tensing up in these muscles or other muscles. We're not going to talk about other muscles in the body, because the most important ones are the ones in the neck.
For some reason or other.
Yeah, they're very, very central, and they're central to the balance and central to the movement. And also, if they're too tense, you can harm the circulation in the body as well. But one thing I have to say is that you must never press really hard, and you must never press without talking to the person you're doing it to, because there are lots of nerves and blood vessels in this area, and you shouldn't mess with those. But what we're doing is we're talking talking with the patient, the student, talking, is this painful? What do you feel with that when I touch there? And yeah, there it is. So, and we can call it a trigger point. We could call it a door into the muscles. But we find points where the nervous system is a little more vulnerable. And then we just keep the pressure on that one, and the patient breathes it through.
Sounds like the point that you're touching is sort of a little bit softer than the tissue around.
Yeah, yeah.
So
many people
you put a little bit of pressure on the little bit softer
the
stuff,
vulnerable part,
so that the harder parts learn to move.
Yeah.
Or something like that, maybe.
Because in the beginning, when I did this, I was trying to like, massage the stiff muscles.
Yeah.
Where they are hard, but that didn't work. It worked very slowly and very painfully.
Yeah.
But then I found out if I search for the soft parts that are perhaps a little more painful, but in a different way, and just softly touch those, and the other person breathes like yoga breathing, very, very slow through the nose. And like down into the...
Deep into the belly, sort of.
Yes.
All right.
And then breathes out again through
Some people
the
call
nose.
that diaphragm breathing, don't they?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the tenseness of the muscle goes away much more quickly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show on you as well, because you're strong, you're very athletic, but you have these really, really strong chest muscles.
These?
Yeah. And they are pulling his shoulders forward. You see? And if you try to hold your shoulders in the position where they're supposed to be, then he gets tense. Because these ones are long. Yeah, these ones are long, and these ones in the front are short and strong. And those are actually short because of his neck muscles are too short as well. Because you've been having, you had asthma since you were little and you didn't know it. And then you're breathing in a very tense way, and the muscles become short. Of course, he's been training also in a way that makes his front more strong. But this thing...
You only train the beach muscles, that's important.
Yeah, yeah.
If you can't see the muscle in the mirror, there's no use training it.
Yeah, that's a bit of truth in that. But it's also interesting to see that these muscles here that were tensed up because of your asthma, actually when we got them to relax, it was much easier for you to relax in your shoulders.
Yeah.
And you actually did a new PR in bench press.
Yep.
Right after one session.
Great. Straight from the bench to the bench. That was great.
Yeah.
We got to do that again.
Yes, because it was painful in your shoulder.
Yeah.
Because of this tension in the neck.
My technique used to look a little bit like when I tried to bench press. Normally I had quite a wide grip. I'll lift the bench off. I would lower it, and when I was trying to lift it back up, this arm would just wing out like that, and I couldn't stop it from happening when it was heavy weights. And that this isn't a stable position. So what happened is that because these are already short, they try to shorten up even more so that my whole shoulder blade rolls forward with it, and my back muscles can't help stabilizing the upper arm. So when we got that released, I was able to keep my shoulders back and together, which made my upper arm stable when I was pressing. So it didn't hurt at all, which was it was cool that the numbers changed, but it was much more cool that it didn't hurt, so I wanted to train. That was the really cool part.
Yeah. So, and we've got Arne as a
dummy.
Dummy. This is Arne. He's one of the knights who's riding here. So if you could just lie down on the bench as you usually do when I sit up a little. Well, I have to show you that Arne is really, really strong in his back. He's the opposite of Pelle, but you see that his back is like this, a little a curve here. And when I say to Arne when he's riding, straighten up, Arne, then it actually said, you made a sound here, didn't it? It was like in his back. But it's actually because these muscles are too short. So these muscles are pulling his head forwards. So if you lie down on it, I can show you guys what I do. And it's really easy and it's not, but you need to communicate. So when can you see now if I do this to it? Yeah. I go here, not in the front because there are blood vessels and the throat and everything, but it's on the side here. And I just search with my thumb for like soft spots. And then I'm talking to Arne. Is that painful?
No, not yet.
Not yet. And then, yeah. There. Okay. So I'm just holding there. I'm not moving. And Arne, you're breathing through your nose. And then you try to breathe with when you lift it. Yeah. Because then if you do this and then you relax and just, yeah, good. And then I'm feeling that when you're breathing now, you're breathing sort of into my thumb. Yeah. Can you tell me, Arne, when it's not painful anymore?
It's
It's good?
Yeah, you can push harder.
You can push harder. Then he decides, because I don't know what it feels for him. And I'm not supposed to do the thing. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a tool. Good. Can you feel it? Does it like...
You follow the pain now and it's getting...
getting worse?
Worse, but in a good way.
In a good way, good.
A good sort of pain.
Yeah.
It's important to listen to your body like that. Most people know what's good pain and what isn't good pain.
Yeah.
But not always. And it's very important that there's a high level of trust between the person on the bench and the person with the thumb.
yeah, because the only thing I do, my thumbs are getting stronger and stronger by doing this. But it's not very tiring for me because the only thing I do is like bend forwards, so I get a little tired in my back sometimes. But I'm not tired in my fingers because I'm not pressing hard. But I'm going like I'm following the structures between the muscles, and I don't need to know what the muscles look like, what they're called, or anything. I just feel and I communicate.
So it's a bit like moving.
So it's like
it's kind of
hard.
It's kind of hard to.
Yeah. So now when I get that, I've done this for a long time. So I have this feeling when I find this point in between muscle fibers that is really soft and like a crack between two bundles of muscle fibers, then this looks like a weak spot, and then I try there, and very often you say that, yeah, that's the right spot, yeah, and then I can feel, wow, here the muscle is more relaxed. Good. Wow. And when we're not going to do this the whole time because it takes a little while. But often, when we're finished with one side, we can see that the one shoulder is much lower and more relaxed than the other. So, can you see that he's breathing really deeply down into the belly? And his chest is also getting bigger, expanding, both up here and out to the sides. Because when we're breathing with the diaphragm, like down into the belly, but we're also supposed to be able to like expand the rib cage. And like this. And now we're not going to do any more now because it's boring to look at. But you get the principle. And if you get up, Arne, we can see if we can see any difference. I guess we can't with such a short. Can you see?
The right one is, as usual, hanging lower than the left one.
Good, thank you, Arne. So,
Cool. Let's just get this moving.
yeah.
I like to
What's
move
the
it,
time?
move it.
Yeah. Is it like
20.
Yeah. So then, shall we invite Thea?
Shall we invite a horse? A horse and
Because we're doing this to horses as well.
and
we
his
were-
rider.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting with horses because they don't have this big brain in the way when you're trying to release the knots. So you have to be sensitive to what the horse's
Come on, big boy.
wants and do's are.
Come on, big
Hey,
boy.
you're in the limelight, boy. You love it
Hey.
in the limelight, don't
This
you?
is Plumik. He's like 20 years old or something.
21.
21. And he's actually Pelle's war horse. He's
My war
doing
horse.
when he's doing like
It's jousting and stuff.
jousting and other like knightly sports. And he's got a lot of trouble in his back before, didn't he?
And this is Thea,
Yeah, this is Thea.
This is me.
who's going to be releasing his knots.
Yeah.
Or showing us how to do it on other horses, of course.
Yeah.
You want me to hold him?
If you can.
Yep.
Like you said, when you do this on people,
Mm.
you can talk to them and you can ask them, where does it hurt? Where does it feel stiff?
Mm-hmm.
What's your issue?
Yep.
You can't do that with a horse.
No.
Of course, if you ride it fairly regularly, you can get an idea or a fairly good sense of where he's stiff, what's his issues. But if this is a horse you don't ride, you have to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And what I look for,
Mm.
of course I talk to the rider and ask them first, but what I look for are places that feel stiff
Mm.
or tense or tender, if he like winces, or you can, like the horse when you touch his back, he sort of...
Yep.
Or places that feel completely dead to the touch,
Mm-hmm.
because he's supposed to feel alive under your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And of course this horse I know, so I know where he's...
She rides him 2 times a day.
2 times a day.
Yeah.
And so I know that he has issues in his neck.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he is fairly stiff in his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he has quite a lot of stiffness in his back as well. And his hind legs, of course,
Yeah.
because he's an old man.
Yeah.
When I start with a horse that I don't know, or a horse that I haven't done this on before, I always start with the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because a lot of horses are stiff in the neck, but also because this places me in a fairly safe position if the horse should react
Mm-hmm.
to the touch. And so what I do now is that I find a spot in his neck that is fairly stiff or hard to the touch, and then I sort of move around it. Like you said, don't press on the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
You just use that to guide you into
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
All right.
So I know that he has a lot of stiffness on the top of the pole.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just gently put some pressure on it. This is important. You can't force the horse to relax.
Mm.
You have to just guide him
Sorry.
and encourage him and just be gentle with him.
Mm.
And the horse will tell you when you're pressing too hard,
Mm-hmm.
because he will move or shake his head or get annoyed with you.
Oh, I forgot to say, I can say that
Yeah.
now while you're doing this to him. When you're pressing too hard on a person, he will tense up.
Yep,
And then you
absolutely.
don't get any result.
Exactly.
So I guess it's the same on the
It's the
horse
same
too.
thing. Don't give him anything to like push back on.
Mm-hmm.
And if the horse enjoys it, he will often push into it.
Yep.
Apply the pressure
Same
he
with
needs
persons.
himself.
Yeah.
So I can start with like around the ear and the atlas and axis.
Mhm.
So in this area right here
Mm.
is a good place to start. And just gently put some pressure. This is a very like introverted horse. He doesn't show a lot of, but now you can see he starts licking and chewing a little bit.
Mm.
And that's always a good sign.
Good boy.
What's that?
And this is sort of what he gives me, like
Yeah.
3 or 4 chews, and then he's like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Whatever.
I've told
He's
you
a
now.
grumpy old man.
Yeah.
I've told you once. I'll tell you if it changes.
Yeah, exactly. And so like around the neck, and you can do this also by gently positioning the head.
Mhm.
He doesn't like that at all.
No.
because he is stiff.
Yeah. So it's the same when you're riding.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to be positioned.
No, not at all. Especially not like when he's not warm.
Mhm.
And now we've been standing back there, and he's gotten quite impatient and grumpy.
Yeah.
And there's flies too.
He's not grumpy.
No, he's a good little boy. And what I do is, if the horse does something that is good, like he starts licking or chewing or stretching or breathing deeply, yawning, I will tell him that he is a good boy, to encourage him to do it more. And most horses are eager to please, and they will understand that, and they will keep on trying to please you. And some horses also learn what this is. He knows this, and he has benefited greatly from it, and he enjoys it. He will stand perfectly still, no one holding him, for an hour on a good day.
Yeah.
But he will also tell me on days when he doesn't want to do it. He will move
Yeah.
away or tell me to move away.
Yeah.
Like this, he's
Yeah.
I'm done with that now.
he's done with the neck. He doesn't.
Stop already.
That's
Yeah.
not his favorite area because it is so tense. Then I can move down to the withers. A lot of horses have issues around here. And you can see that I can't really find his shoulder blade more than up to here. So all of this is just tense, stiff muscle. So I will sort of feel around. This feels on him like dead. There's no like elasticity, or there's not anything that sort of moves.
Can I
Yeah.
just say a little thing?
Yeah.
This is typical with humans as well. That you find areas in the musculature, especially around the neck, that are so stiff that it feels like wood
Yeah, it feels
to,
like a
to
bone.
the touch.
actually.
Feels like bone or wood to the touch. So it's not particular to horses. The same thing happens to people.
So now I found a spot that he sort of acknowledged a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then he started chewing a little bit. Then I can move around a little bit too. And I vary. Like with the human, Honey uses like one finger. I often use 2 or 3 to sort of like just spread the pressure a little bit. And I can also use my whole hand or the palm of my hand. And just like, and if I am afraid to put too much pressure, if there's a really, really sensitive horse, we have a few of those here, I will put one finger and then I will press down with my other one to make sure that it's not any tension in me.
All right. So you make it light for yourself.
Light for myself and for him too.
Yeah, because when you're getting light, you're more sensitive
Yeah.
in your own touch.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, I can move back here to the back side of the shoulder blade. I know that he has a lot of stiffness on top here too. So I can try to find a spot where he will sort of react a little bit. He doesn't like that. And there's flies on him, and he doesn't like that either. And I never apply like harder pressure than that I would on my own neck. At least not like on the neck area of the horse. It's going to be a bit different when we move back to his hindquarters.
Yeah, when there's half a meter of muscle, you sort of have to.
Have to apply a little more pressure.
Little bit.
There you can see I found something that was really tender. He sort of flinched a little bit. So I'm just going to move away from that spot like just a little bit. Apply some more pressure. And just wait a little bit and see if he will.
So.
That's just flies.
Good boy.
And see if he might want to relax. He's not sure he wants to, and we can't stand here forever and wait for him.
Yeah, and also when I instruct, I use this on the pupils' horses when I walk
Yeah,
beside them.
yeah. And
And I
this
can
is
just
this is something you can do as well. Some horses think better when they move.
Yeah.
So if your horse is one that relaxes better when he walks slowly, let him walk around you in a small circle while you do this. If your horse tends to like wind up more when walking, try to keep him standing as still as you can. And just take breaks instead if he gets tense or unfocused.
because also when you're doing it while the horse is moving, then you have both the breathing
Yeah.
and also the actual walking.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't tense up in the muscles, and doing the wrong pattern of movement.
Yeah. And the thing with breathing is kind of important. Horses breathe slowly. Very
Yeah.
slowly. So it's hard to tell, hard to see, hard to hear.
Mhm.
So if I want to know for sure, and if you trust the horse and you know the horse won't jump all over you, stand close to it. Put one part of your body that's you can keep relaxed, either your arm or your side, into the horse so you can feel how the horse breathes. So with this horse, he has a really big belly, so it's hard to sort of get close. So I usually just
his belly, it's his chest.
this is
I've been telling you this.
this is a belly.
Oh.
So I'll just place my other arm like gently on his side there, and then I can just feel how he breathes while I do this.
All right.
And then we can, if I can get my thing,
Your
thing?
box.
my box.
Yeah,
'cause
and this is also the same, that it's not dangerous. You're not doing any, not
No,
manipulating
I'm
any
not manipulating
joints or not-
anything or pulling or pushing him hardly. I'm going to stand on this because he's a big horse. Is that all right with the cameras? And I know that he's really stiff in this area. He has a long back. He's not very interested in engaging his hind legs. And so this area gets tense and stiff. So I'm going to find an area like that one that he didn't really
Oh, I didn't like
approve
that.
of, but it's okay. I can just move a little bit more. Then I'm just gonna,
It's so far down.
just gonna keep really light pressure on him there. Usually when I do this, I'm gonna actually move my bench a little bit more. Sorry, people.
That's fine.
Usually I will stand on this side and then I will untangle on the opposite side,
All right.
because sometimes he will stretch or kick out his legs a little bit to
All
just
right.
sort of,
So when you release the sort of the lower back,
yeah.
he will
He
do
will,
stuff with his hind
yeah,
legs?
he will stretch and
Yeah, like
kick
this.
and move his hind legs.
All right. Oh. Yeah, like this,
Yeah.
I guess.
And he needs that.
Like that.
He's got lots of trouble in his hind legs. He was really, and when we got him, he was really impossible to
Shoe
lift
and
his
lift his
hind
feet.
legs. He was angry.
Good boy.
Good boy. And as you say, we allow him to move around.
As long as he just like wander off, he's allowed to
Express himself.
express himself. That's really important, especially if the horse is tense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't like tell him to stand there, relax, and shut up and be quiet. 'Cause
No. Yeah,
that's
because
sort of-
Tried that,
then you
doesn't
don't
work.
get the
feedback you
signals
need.
back,
I
yeah.
need the feedback from the horse.
Yeah, because I was untangling Arne. I could talk to him and say, "Is
Yeah.
this painful?" And he says, "That you can push more there." And but then you need to just listen to the horse's
Yeah.
communication.
And what he tells me is that there's flies, and he wants his bucket
Yeah,
right
But
now.
that-
and this is really.
I think
boring.
that's
Yeah.
what he tells you all the time, isn't it? That he wants his bucket.
Yep, that's
So
mainly
the
his.
bucket is
that
there.
his-
He says.
yeah. Already
Is
got
there
me
any
too.
way you could show somewhere on the horse where the muscle is kind of dead,
Yeah.
like in his lower neck or something
Yeah,
like that? I believe there's a
the
bit there.
Yeah, the lower neck. He has sort of like a
ball?
lemon-sized pool ball lump. I don't know if you can
And
see it
many horses have exactly
here in his
that.
under neck. It is
Yeah.
the size of my fist,
Mhm.
and if I push down straight on it, he'll get angry.
Mhm.
There's
And
no
you can
point.
also see that there's no yield in that.
No, it's like
Just
like
like
the
a
skin
glass
yields and then
ball.
it becomes hard.
yeah. I can see like my finger just sort of rolls over it
Sorry.
like this. You can see that there's like it's like this big. So what I'm doing with this is that I will find some place around it. I prefer to go from the underneath.
All right. So you sort of trace around it to find.
And here, I know this horse, so I know that this is where he responds best to it.
Yeah.
But you can test on your horse, like move around it, find the edge.
And what do you search for?
Find the
How
soft
do you know?
spots.
I look at him.
All right.
I know from him that when his lower lip starts quivering, like it's doing now, I'm in the right spot.
All right. That's interesting.
And some horses will like tighten their muscle or
Mhm.
start chewing immediately or turn their head to look at you and say like, what the are you doing?
What's this now?
And other horses, yeah, like this. He's now starting to like shake a little bit. Then I'll just wait it out and see if I can get him to sort of try and release it.
So that's the same thing as Hanna did with finding that, tracing around the hard spots to
Yep.
find some softness that sort of indicates
Yeah.
where the horse or the
There's sort of a
person,
door,
Yeah.
a vulnerable point.
Yeah.
something like that.
So where the man
And
in
I
the
know
brain
I've got
hasn't
it right.
that much.
Sorry.
I know I got it right when his eyes sort of start to look relaxed and he's
Yeah.
looking more comfortable.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And also it's very interesting because this part of the neck is sort of an antagonist to
Yeah,
the top
to
line.
the top line.
So if those muscles are tense, it's very difficult to make the horse move over the back and use his top line. So
Good
when you
It's
get
okay.
those
It's okay,
muscles
my boy.
to relax, you get so much for free when you're
Yeah.
training the horse.
And I do this on him every day from 3 minutes to an hour,
Mhm.
depending on what he wants. Sometimes I do it like if I know that he's been out jousting with Pelle, for instance. I know that he could use a little extra. But that's also on the days like he doesn't really want it because he's sore from training hard.
Mhm.
So then I'll have to like,
Listen to the horse.
Yeah, it's the same as if you've been training hard yourself. You don't really want to stretch those muscles that
No.
day.
No.
but I
But that's when you should.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'll tell him to stand still and I go lightly.
Yeah.
And not in the areas where I know he's like gets really upset. I don't start there.
Mhm.
So then I can like start down here in the neck, for instance, and then like move around the shoulder and then I'll take the lower back towards the end.
Mhm.
You can see now he starts licking and chewing again.
Good boy.
That's nice.
Well done.
Yeah.
Good
And I
boy.
can feel when I'm holding his halter,
Yeah.
I can feel that he relaxes.
Yeah, and you can
Because
see also he drops his head a little bit.
Mhm.
This whole muscle here looks a bit more relaxed, smaller.
And then you can see that when he lowers his head, he engages the top line more.
Yeah,
What a good boy.
he's a very good boy.
Even shows on screen. I was sure Murphy's Law was going to make this
Yeah.
really hard for us.
This horse is like 3/4 great white shark.
Yeah.
He
He's
is a
breathing.
and breathing deeply. Yeah,
Mm.
he is a very good horse when it comes to this breathing because you can hear it
Yeah.
Mm.
when he takes a deep breath. Not all
Cool.
horses are like that.
Mm.
He's a good
Now I
boy.
finished.
Yeah, that's him telling me
we
to like no more, no
No,
more.
Enough of this now. All right.
Now the bucket is waiting. But
Is
I
there
think
more we-
we'll
Yeah, sorry.
wait and see if there are questions.
Yeah,
So Promik needs to wait a little more.
he can wait a little more. He's already had like 2 buckets today, so he's all set.
Also, you told him he had a belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a big
But
belly.
Mia, have we got some questions?
One.
One?
Mm-hmm. Hege Höjby is asking, how does it work when the horse is moving around when you do this?
I can answer a little.
yeah, you can-
first, and
yeah.
then you can think, because I'm doing it a lot when I'm instructing, because there's so many horses that are stiff, and they're trouble actually, like stretching down and going to the bits, and engaging their top line, and when I just walk, like I will walk like this, and I hold in the like headgear, and then this ball thingy that I was showing, if I just hold there and find the spots, and then I position the horse a little to the inside while the horse is moving in walk, usually it works very well, and it's a nice way to do if you're warming up the horse. You can do that before you get up,
Yeah,
and it's very efficient.
it's efficient on the like under neck or down here, and it's
Yeah.
also super efficient up
Yeah.
in the upper neck around the atlas
Yeah.
and axis
Oh,
too.
yeah.
What I'll do then, either in the halter or with the bridle, just have a really light grip.
Unlike the noseband or something like that.
Yeah, noseband or like one finger in the
Yeah, very light. grip.
yeah,
yeah.
very light, so you don't force the horse into anything. Promik is so done with this. And then just apply light pressure.
He looks angry.
There are flies and all sorts.
Yeah.
Apply light
Yeah.
pressure.
Wow.
Position the horse a little bit, and just encourage it to move forward.
Yeah.
I won't do this with this horse because he will trample everything.
He's like a sleeping elephant.
I know, my boy.
Okay. No more questions?
So it's simple and nice little techniques that are intuitive. They are not dangerous to do in any way or shape or form, unless of course you manage to trigger your horse into doing something really stupid.
Yeah,
But,
I can talk a
you
little
shouldn't
bit
do
about that actually.
Yes, please.
Some horses are super sensitive to the touch,
Yeah.
especially like in the head area. We all know that horses, or have seen a
Mhm.
horse who doesn't like being touched in the head.
Yeah.
Make sure that you keep yourself safe first, and then do it super lightly.
Most people out there will probably be trying this out on their own horse.
Yeah, and you know your
I'm
own
hoping.
horse. Yeah, you know your own horse. But if your horse is sensitive to the touch in the head or anywhere else on the body, we have one horse here who doesn't like being touched at all. So what I do with him is I will simply super light pressure, and then I will sort of gently guide his head to where I want it. I will stop, I will keep the pressure on, I will praise him, and then I'll take it away.
That didn't look like much pressure.
No, it's like,
It's like not even pushing the skin in.
no.
All right.
And then next time I can do a little bit more.
All right. So patience is the thing here.
Patience, and just
And just
show him that
feel.
you're not going to
Maybe that's why I'm not good at this.
just
Because you're not very patient.
show the horse that you're not intending to like push his muscles or push your hand into his brain, because
Yep.
that's what the horse will
Yeah.
probably feel like, because you're like in
Yeah.
the soft tissue,
What?
especially around here.
Yeah. So super careful, especially on the most efficient spots.
Yeah,
That sounds like something you guys will have to think really well about.
and you can
Right.
also do it like
On the forehead
on the
there.
forehead as well.
All right, yeah, there are two on
Horses,
some horses really bulging muscles up
yeah,
there.
horses with a lot of tension in the neck will get huge muscles on the forehead too. And then you can just apply super light pressure there too.
Yeah, because
He's not a fan of that.
You're not pressing hard. You're
No.
not using force. Then it's not so dangerous to try and try out this thing.
Yeah.
On your own horse.
And
Because
your
you
horse will
just
tell you.
Yeah.
He will tell you what's too much or
So
too
it's
little.
not dangerous. You're not going to do any harm.
It's like patting your horse in a more intimate way.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yeah, and in a more efficient way, like you get something done.
Something
More-
happens actually.
Something happens other than you just bonding with your horse, and it is a great way to bond with your horse.
Yes.
Get to know the horse's body, get to know how he feels, keep up with swelling and stiffness and
Really good.
all the good stuff.
It's like an advanced visitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Really cool. I think that if there aren't any more questions from anywhere, I think that we're gonna call it today or a night. Oh
Yeah,
well,
because
there won't be any sleep here tonight, of course,
this is party night for us.
because
Hey,
the
boy.
sun is out and it'll stay out. So we would like to thank you very much for joining us. We would like to thank Hanne very much for doing her thing with the
Untangling?
untangling.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Thea and of course to Plumik, the old fighter,
The sun ray.
the ray of sun, a ray of light. So we'll see you back in a couple of weeks, I suppose, with a surprise stream, I believe.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we don't know yet, so it'll be a surprise for us for sure. Oh, more question? Oh, brilliant. Just made it. Thank you.
Hege Høiby again.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a connection between points the horse likes to be scratched and points to use?
Definitely.
Definitely. Good. That should be a good answer to your question. Yes. So, but that's a very, very good question, and it points out something. If you know that there are spots on your horse that the horse likes scratching, it might be that those spots are a nice place to start.
Yep.
They are too. Stiff muscles are itchy.
And dead muscle, or
Mm.
you know, the feels coming to
Yes.
life is even more itchy.
Yes.
And often when I do this, the horse will start to itch all over, like on the head and on the legs, and he will scratch like crazy on posts and you, and just let him.
If it's all right. Don't scratch on the cameras.
No,
Well, I think that's it for tonight.
Yep.
Should we say so?
let's do.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.